it really changed my life. And one of the things they teach there is PNC, pause, notice, change. And it's basically just slowing down. If you have a task or something that's overwhelming, you can feel that. Everyone can feel when something's overwhelming, whether it's shooting, which can be overwhelming in of itself. It's slowing down, pausing, noticing is kind of figuring out what's going on. Where's this stress coming from? What is the daunting task that's happening? And then figuring out how to change it. How are you going to enable certain steps to push through that adversity? And it can be as simple as stop. They teach you when you shoot, you get to a point, especially if you've been running or your heart rate's up, to take a deep breath, let the deep breath out, and then go to work. So
hello and welcome to Making Shooters Better, brought to you by Laser Ammo. I'm your host, Terry Vaughan, former Royal Marines Commando and competitive shooter. With me is the incomparable Kristen Wilson Day, firearms instructor and the brains behind Laser Ammo marketing, and our very special guest, Michael DeGraeve, a veteran airborne paratrooper, police officer, Redcon 1 athlete, combatives instructor for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and CEO of Always Forward. Michael, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, Michael. So you've called your life a journey from the Army to addiction and almost 9 years now sober. If you had to sum all of that up in one or two lines for someone listening right now, what do you think the core lesson is?
Just never give up. I mean, especially if you served in the military, it's not easy from beginning to end generally. And I feel like if you can make it through, that process, you can definitely make it through anything. So that's really what helped me kind of get my mindset straight and kind of get back into a warrior mentality. And that's what got me to where I'm at today.
That's awesome. And thank you for your service.
I think a lot of us, when it comes to getting out of the military, need some form of support network.
Well, that was when I got out. I got out in 2006 of active duty, and there wasn't much of a process as far as getting out. The way I remember doing it, and I actually have a unit reunion this weekend coming up at Fort Bragg. So it's basically all the guys who were in Operation Rivergate, one of our big missions. And so I get to meet them again. But the way I remember getting out was I got my final stamp of discharge, and I had my car packed, and I was out and had no plan. It was me getting in my car and driving home, and that was it. There at that time, I don't remember many options as far as, coming back into the world, I guess. So now there's many options, and people getting out now have a lot of tools.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I think I underestimated how difficult it was going to be getting out, because I practically skipped out of the main gate after turning in all my kit. I was like, I'm out. I'm going to America. I'm marrying an American. My life is sorted. But it was weird because after I left, I kind of felt a bit lost, to be honest. Outside of, obviously marrying an amazing woman, I just felt disjointed. I don't feel like I belonged. And I think it must have taken me about 2 years to calm down and see the world as civilians see it versus how you tend to look at things after the military.
Yeah, I think when I got out, I just continued what I was doing in the military. We were hard chargers and drank a lot. I was with the 82nd Airborne, and we were called the most in shape alcoholics in the world by Time magazine. And we lived it. We lived it hard and deployed twice. And when I got out, I continued the alcohol part and not the fitness part. And it was just a ever evolving circle almost of go to work. Weekends I would drink, and it was just that. There was no purpose or drive or anything like that. And I thought it was normal. That was probably the biggest issue was, I thought it was normal. That's how people did it. And, you always had your brothers, if you got into an issue in a bar, or if you got into something on on base or whatever. They were there to save you. But you get out, civilians are like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? And why has he drank 30 beers? And why is he trying to, fight everybody? So yeah, that was probably the you thought it was normal and it wasn't. So it was tough to get through that, and took many years to kind of figure that out.
What do you think the turning point was for you? What happened where you arrived at that place where you're like, okay, this is enough?
Well, a lot in between. Like I said, the alcohol was the issue, and then, the fitness declined too. So health, wasn't great either, but I had dealt with a lot of mental health issues, having to go through that, not really understanding, why the drinking was happening the way it was. And so it took many years, before, a culmination of, family having enough, me having enough. People told me many times along the way that I needed help, and anytime they told me that, it would just anger me. Or if I was drinking and someone told me I needed to stop, it would kind of ignite the fire. So it took years of hearing that, and I was just scrolling through YouTube. I think I was working as a security guard at the time, and I was scrolling through YouTube and saw a Tim Kennedy video. He was at a conference. I think it was possibly SHOT Show or one of those, and somebody asked him about his life and journey, and they kind of made him look like he was above average, and he said he's just like anyone else. He just chooses to make that change, and the guy asked, well, is it really that easy? And he said, well, it is that easy. You just have to make the choice and do something. And when he said do something, that kind of just, I don't know, it was a very simple YouTube video, but that just clicked in my head. And he said, we were warriors and are warriors. It's time to start acting like that. And the next day I kind of just started this fitness journey, and it really changed my life as far as how I think. I use social media a lot to look at people like him, the Jockos of the world, and I've got to meet some people who aren't in that limelight like Jocko, but who are still inspirational. So I think social media played a huge part too, but that video was a turning point, just basically telling you to get off the couch and fix yourself. And I got off the couch and started that journey.
Now, I'm curious, did you start out by running or did you start out by lifting weights?
I don't remember. I knew I hated running from, the military.
The military, yep.
So and they always say, do the things you hate. So I'm sure that was in there. And I turned my garage into, started building the garage gym, and bought me one of those Chuck Norris total gyms that has the cable, and that worked for a while. And then I just evolved and got on with some really cool companies who shared the mindset and kind of supported me along the way. And I'm still with and work with those companies to this day. And I think the key is just finding a circle of support, whether it's social media or family or like-minded people that will constantly push you. And for a long time, it was just me pushing myself. And then, you start meeting people along the way with the same mindset, and you start building sort of a family, I guess, of people. And it's gotten me here, and it's been a heck of a journey.
You never realize that too when you post on social, like how much you could be impacting somebody else when you think you're just doing it just to like, hey, I'm trying to be accountable. And then other people are like, man, this is so awesome. And you're empowering other people. And so it just becomes this vicious circle in a good way that you're empowering other people, which is in turn empowering you to keep going. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it just started as documenting, what I was doing. And, you look back at the original posts and pictures, they were just kind of like a virtual journal. And so I kind of still use it the same way now. And it's evolved a little bit with technology and everything, but you're really just telling a story. And I hope people are truthful, on social media, because I think we were talking yesterday. You never you you're friends, and you speak with people on social media, but then the day comes when you have to meet them, and it's always a weird kind of anxious feeling about, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to be the same? And so you try to hope people, you know, portray that person on social media and are like that in real life. So it all started with a YouTube video.
That's awesome.
It's funny though, because discipline plays such a huge part in that. There are a lot of people that, they want the big wins, and you're actually better off just setting these small little goals every day, I think. And you just, okay, today I'm getting off the couch, and maybe I'm just going to walk around my neighborhood, and I'm going to do that for an hour. And you just do that every day, just every day. Because I think people set up and they're like, well, I want to be like my favorite influencer, and I want to drop 50 pounds and do this and do this. And they haven't really, accounted for the fact it's probably going to take them months, if not years, to achieve that goal.
Right.
And it's the battle they win every day, just implementing those small steps that will ultimately get them there. But it's just not biting off more than you can chew, at least to begin with.
No,
you
that's,
never know. Yeah.
that's
You never know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
So.
It's never what you think it is. So you never know.
And I rebelled. When I got out of the military, I absolutely refused to run. I'm like, listen, unless it's something that can eat me, I'm not running. And even then, maybe I'll just take the easy way out and let him chomp down. I was like, I'm not running. I'm not running anymore. And for years, I just did weights. And then I fell into the trap of doing nothing but heavy weights. And then I learned to regret that as my joints started to say, listen, you're not a young pup anymore. This stuff is starting to hurt. And then I went back to, somewhere back towards, okay, a little bit of cardio is probably a good idea.
Yeah, it helps the brain, that's for sure.
Yep. So I've heard you say win the day. And how does that motto apply, do you think, not just to sobriety, but to firearms training and performance in general?
Well, like you just said, I mean, that's when I decided to get sober. I quit cold turkey, but it was extremely challenging because I didn't really drink during the week. I drank during the weekends. So I would look forward to that weekend. And so what really helped me, and still helps me to this day, especially with alcohol, is just getting through the day. If you're deciding that you're going to stop drinking, or you're deciding you're going to start a fitness journey, like you said, you can't look a year out or 6 months out, because how are you going to get there without getting through today? So that's why I say win the day. If you win this single day, tomorrow will come. And then if you do that, you win that day, you move on to the next. A week turns into a month is a year, and now you're at that goal. But you gotta start small, and it goes with shooting. And because shooting is sometimes you have naturals who can just pick it up and do great, but it's a task that I feel like you can always get better at. So going into the mindset of I'm going to be the next top shot, as soon as I pick this gun up is it's just not the mindset to have. And each time you do shoot, or each time you dry fire, or each time you practice, you're getting a little bit better. So, if you focus on that task that day, it'll bring you to the next day and another opportunity to get better. So I literally use that every day. If I'm on a high or a low, just getting through the day, get through that day, get through the next day, and try to get, they always say 1% better, but, I try to do 100%. And like you said, that doesn't always work out, but that's always the goal.
But at least setting a goal, you're aiming for something.
Right.
I think a lot of times we arbitrarily say, I'm going to do a thing, but we don't set those small steps along the way that we can win at every day to get us there.
Yeah. You got to have some kind of focus, and, whatever that reason is, if it's fitness or shooting, or, if you're getting into the firearm world to do competitions, and, pick one. They're all over the country, and, there's beginner level, there's expert level, and, you pick one, set a date, and start working towards it. And now you have that goal to kind of push towards. It took me many years, I learned about the Patriot Games, which is based out here in Florida, and it's a tactical fitness competition relatable to the tactical games. But it took me a long time to just jump in that because I didn't think I was good enough, or whatever the reason was. And I used to go watch the events, and every time I'd go, I'd be like, well, next time I'll do it, next time. And eventually I said, I'm going to do the next one, ready or not, and jump in. And thank God I did, because it's just another form of therapy and another goal to kind of push towards. And I've done quite a few now, and I got invited to the championships in Georgia.
Wow.
So that comes in November. So now I have a goal, and now I'm working towards it. So it never ends.
No, there's always another goal. There's always another challenge you can set yourself. I found actually that for the most part, if I am ever at a competition or a range where there's newbies there, I, along with many other sort of seasoned shooters, will go out of our way to step in and say hi and encourage them to just keep kind of slugging away at it. Little improvements, little pointers, tips at this, try this. I screwed this up. I know this might help you. Those kinds of things. I've found overall that the environment for most endeavors, especially when it comes to shooting, people are pretty supportive.
Yeah, and that's what's great about the Patriot Games. It's like a small community, and I jumped into the Masters division thinking, a bunch of old guys. I'll I'm 40, almost 41. They're all 40 plus, and I'm thinking, well, I'll smoke them and whatever. That wasn't the case, and still isn't the case. So I'm still, but they're all, like you said, they are very welcoming. Tips. We're in a competition, and they already went, and it's my turn. They're giving you, tricks and things that they can do, and it's an awesome community that uh, it's a strong rivalry and strong competition and a lot of smack talk and all that. But at the end of the day, we're out there working and sweating the same, and I think that's what I like the best about it. I don't look like so much of a nerd training in my garage gym, dry firing and all that. I have a purpose now, so uh, it's just fun. It's a fun way to put everything together. And again, like I said at the beginning, is just building a community of like-minded people, and they're all walks of lives, veterans, non-veterans, and it's just it's a great way to put positive energy into things. So yeah, I love it.
So how often do you live fire and how often do you dry fire?
Work, I do a lot. We shoot uh, at least 800 rounds a year for work, so we shoot a lot. Plus, I shoot um, offhand, on the side and training wise. So we shoot thousands of rounds live fire, plus those Patriot games. And just till recently, I dry fire before, but now I'm able to use your guys' stuff and get out there in full kit, full uniform. And I do it at least twice a week, 3 times a week. I should probably do it every day, but I do it
Baby
a lot.
steps.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
win one day at a time. But
Right?
I think it's overlooked on how important just simple dry fire is, and knowing your gun and knowing your weapon and your body, and being able to integrate all that into training is huge. So I shoot a lot. I need to shoot a lot more if I want to start, getting 1, 2, 3 podium wins. So the fitness is good. The shooting is, I need to get a little bit better. So every
Hey, you're
day.
on your way though, because I heard you're kind of competitive. So
Yeah, I do not, I do not like to lose, and especially when it's all on you. It's not a team event. It's how much you're putting into it. So at the end of the day, if you're not if you're not doing well, it's because you didn't do well. You didn't put the effort in. So, and that's what I love about firearms is the more you train with a firearm, the better you get at the fundamentals. There's no way you won't get better. So I know that I need to train more and do better there. So it's humbling. Uh, but you have something to work towards. You can always get better, especially in the firearms uh, community and world.
Absolutely. And you're practicing for safety of whatever could happen, with life. And then, of course,
Yeah.
your day job.
There's always a real world application, especially if you're, a concealed carry owner, a weapon carrier, or you live in Florida and you can open carry now. You better be good with that weapon and not just on a static range.
Yes.
When the heart rate goes up, everything goes out the window, and fundamentals will pop in. And if you haven't been trained in those, it's it could get nasty for you. Your gun could turn into someone else's. So
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely pays off to get the fundamentals dialed in. And I think for a lot of beginner shooters, taking our equipment and training at home before ever getting to a range is a great way to build confidence in the basics of drawing the firearm, keeping your finger off the trigger, grip, sight picture, trigger press, follow through, stance. All of these things can put you in a place where your confidence may not be, huge, but at least it has improved over where you might be just going to the range for the first time, not really knowing what to do or how to do it, and then feeling like everyone around you seems to know what they've got going on, depending on which range you go to.
Do they know?
Do they? Do they? It depends how much attention you're paying to the guy in the next lane.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no,
why
I
stay
definitely
away.
pay attention to the guy in the next lane because I've seen some crazy stuff with lack of safety. And I use them as a great example for a lady that just learned how to shoot. And I just trained her. And then we go and I was like, she's, shaking her ponytail or head because she's not getting the perfect in the X. And I'm like, hey, let me just show you something.
Yeah, look next door.
See that target there? see how that guy is like, the holes all over the place, like a shotgun, but he's shooting a 9mm. And I was like, yours are in this tight little group that's just a tad bit low. We can fix that. And by the way, how many times have you shot before? Oh, this is your first time ever? K.
You can take a quick peek at that shotgun blast that happened next door, and you're like, nope, that was a pistol.
That was a pistol.
Well, like you said, you can do all those things, the draw, every bit of it. That's 90%. All that's left when you get to the range is to pull the trigger, and you practice it 10,000 times, it becomes muscle memory, and just that final little squeeze is all you got to do. I mean, it takes all the pressure out of it.
Well, and that you can practice at home too. And
exactly.
The only thing you can't practice unless you have a recoil enabled firearm is basically the second sight picture because, well, it's not going to move. But I mean, a lot of ranges don't allow you to move and shoot. They don't allow you to draw and shoot. So at least you're able to practice that at home too, getting off the X and, drawing and, just, practice drawing from your crossbody like you were talking about earlier. So.
Yeah, that's why I love the interactive targets because it gives feedback. It gives, like I said, it's almost like a live action video game, and it gets you excited to do it. So that's what I've really enjoyed about using your equipment is it just makes it fun. It's not just standing in your living room and watching the news and doing it. You get a lot of feedback from it, and that it makes it enjoyable.
The gang and I over here at Making Shooters Better would be super grateful if you take a moment and hit that subscribe button. Cheers.
Right.
I read one of your Facebook posts that was talking about pause, notice, change when things feel overwhelming. Can you walk us through how that works and how shooters can use it under pressure?
Yeah, I went through the University of Health and Performance. It's a veteran it's very difficult to describe because it's so many things, but they have programs set up. I went through a personal trainer course, certified personal trainer. And when I went there, I thought it was going to be working out and, doing all the, strong and stuff like that. And it was far from that. It was a full life change, really. It really changed my life. And one of the things they teach there is PNC, pause, notice, change, and it's basically just slowing down. If you have a task or something that's overwhelming, you can feel that. Everyone can feel when something's overwhelming, whether it's shooting, which can be overwhelming in of itself. It's slowing down, pausing, noticing is kind of figuring out what's going on, where's this stress coming from, what is the daunting task that's happening, and then figuring out how to change it. How are you going to enable certain steps to push through that adversity? And it can be as simple as a stop. They teach you when you shoot, you get to a point, especially if you've been running or your heart rate's up, to take a deep breath, let the deep breath out, and then go to work. So just throughout the day I do it. I'll just be sitting at a desk, I'll box breathe or whatever, and kind of just close my eyes. And even 10 minutes of it's known to affect your central nervous system. It can rewire the way you're thinking at the time. And as simple as 10 minutes, it can really change your life. So that program I've incorporated into shooting, and I'll talk to myself. It looks weird, sounds weird, but when I do the fitness stuff and it's up to the line and it's time to shoot, I tell myself, breathe, stop, slow down. And I got a friend of mine I work with, he'll record, do my recording, and he'll say it, stop, breathe, relax, slow down. So it's just about taking, what's in front of you, kind of slowing down, evaluating it, and then pushing into it, pushing forward. And it's been a great tool. And I think it's essential in shooting, especially high stress situations. Law enforcement get into use of force shootings, and you got to know how to kind of slow down a little bit in a situation that is going a million miles a minute. So that breathing aspect of it, and kind of just noticing what the heck's going on, and then making the change, or making the conscious decision to do what you got to do has been life changing. So a huge tool.
So when you do box breathing, how long do you inhale? How long do you hold? How long do you exhale?
I keep it simple. I'll inhale for 6 seconds, hold for 6, let out, hold for 8 or so. I've gotten better. I went through that course with a active duty Green Beret. I don't know if he wants me to mention him here, but he's been on a few podcasts too. His name's Kyle Steiner. He taught me how to eat. He taught me how to breathe, and taught me how to breathe, not with your chest, but in the stomach. And so it's evolved from, looking like a maniac, kind of, breathing, to where it's just, in the stomach, and controlling the breath and slowing down and concentrating. And it's really changed how I shoot, how I train, and all that. So something as simple as breathing has, it's free. It's something you can work on every day, and it's just doing it. Part of that winning the day is those kind of tools.
Well, I think when someone's heart rate goes up, particularly when it's stress-induced, anything they can do to help mitigate and minimize how fast their heart rate ultimately ends up is going to be beneficial, because we don't think clearly once we get to that stress level, we're above 145 beats per minute and up, the wheels start coming off, from prefrontal cortex starts shutting down. Have you ever heard of lateralized eye movement for stress?
No. Maybe I did and didn't know that's what it was, but.
So there's research that talks about eye tracking left and right just 2 or 3 times whilst you're box breathing. It actually helps to calm down the amygdala, because it tricks the fear portion of the brain into believing you've already taken the first steps. Because when we move, naturally, we track left and right with our eyes. Usually it's very small movements. This you can accentuate. But putting that together, coupling this lateralized eye movement with those box breaths, will actually help bring down your heart rate, particularly if it's stress-induced, that much faster, because it tricks the brain into thinking you've already taken that first step. And often when we get stressed and our body is in that fear response, the first step is really the one that makes it feel like, okay, we've taken an action to avoid the threat or to mitigate the threat. And so lateralized eye movement along with box breathing can be highly beneficial. Something that you might want to look into. I think it's super interesting.
I will definitely look into that. We do something at work whenever we shoot, when we go to holster, we scan. So we're taking our eyes off of whatever that threat was, and I don't know if that works the same way, but it's kind of just getting your mind off of what just happened, and obviously looking for other threats. But it kind of breaks that tunnel vision that you have, that most people get when they are in a high stress situation. So I will definitely look into that. Any
Yeah.
tool I can, any way I can
tool.
get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for a lot of people, particularly civilians who've never been in the military or worked as a first responder or law enforcement, their experience in high stress tends to be very limited. And if it's a true life and death situation, their response to that threat is going to be probably out of all proportion to anything they're ready to experience or prepared for. So any tool that they can have at their disposal that helps kind of get them out of that locked in, hypervigilant on the one threat that theoretically they've already dealt with and looking for other threats is huge. So I think that's it's a great drill to have at the end of a shooting drill, just to sort of break away from the tunnel vision.
Yeah, it helps, and it applies to shooting or even a hands-on situation where we've seen it where you don't know how you're going to react till you get punched in the face or whatever Mike Tyson's thing is. But
yeah, everybody has a plan until
everyone
someone
has
punches
a plan
you in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you got to know how you're going to react, and until that day comes, you don't know. So being able to put yourself in those, as close to those situations as you can, and then knowing how your body's going to react and what tools are you going to use, to kind of counteract that, and having that set up is you're already ahead of the game. And if you don't get there and that day comes, and that's on you. So we give you the tools. You just
like
learned one today.
Yep. Yeah, right. Just like competition, just standing up, the make ready. I do a shortened version of the box, just breathing, because I don't have a lot of time, but it's a good inhale and a good exhale. And then once you hear that beep, it's like, it's either you're going to go or you're going to create a new plan, but you have all this to happen underneath the timer. So it kind of creates that, you have to figure something out quickly, whether you're dropping magazines, whether you're having to make up shots, what you're going to do. And so it's a great pushing a stressor, pushing those through.
It's amazing what a timer can do to add
stress.
Oh
my. we went through our advanced firearms course. They use timers instead of, calling bad guy or threat or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I, they use it at the competitions too. And that anticipation of that sound when you hear it,
like
it gets your heart rate jumps. All these things happen, and it is something as simple as a timer. If that can throw you off, then what's a gunfire going to do, or what's a punch to the head going to do? So. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? A little timer. You're like, I know nothing's shooting at me. I know this. I'm the only one with a gun that has ammunition in it, all these things. And you're like, why am I breathing heavy?
And we haven't even done anything yet.
I haven't started yet. I just did my visualization. Everything was great. I shot everything. And then you're like, shooter ready.
You're like, no, actually, I'm not.
Pause.
It's funny because one of the competitions on Top Shot, I wasn't as familiar with it. The setup, the makeup, the rifle we were using, it was one of those that I hadn't had chance to practice as much as I would have liked. I had done a lot of pistols, I'd done some rifles, but I hadn't done nearly enough, and this is with a shotgun. So before this competition, and I went head to head with Michelle Viscusi. Wow. Before this competition, I disappeared off to a nice quiet corner of the house that we're all living in and spent a good hour visualizing the drill, visualizing just picking the rifle up, loading in the shells, shooting, reloading, just over and over and over again. And even doing, for those who can't see, I was literally moving my hands and my arms the way I intended to use them during the competition. And it was crazy because when I got out to the competition, I felt like I'd already done it 1,000 times, and it was so much smoother than it would have been. So I'm a huge proponent to that visualization and that sort of meditation approach to everything. I mean, shooting, of course, but anything that you have to do that might be repetitive in nature or something that you haven't done before, visualization can be a huge tool.
Yes, that just reminds me when we do walkthroughs, you know how when you're doing a walkthrough, if you turn the wrong way, it's kind of like, nope, let me do this again because now I just trained my brain that I can turn this way, which means now I have to turn around the other way, do some little pirouette backflip so that I'm not sweeping everybody. So you have to walk through, practice how you play, right? So that you do the right things and you're not being stupid even though you're doing your little fake walkthrough. So
yeah, but it works. It really
yep,
does.
it
helps.
Sure does.
There's a lot of professional athletes that use visualization to help them be better.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why in the military, you do, if you're doing a shoot house, it could be a day or two before you ever bring live ammunition into a shoot house. It's like a dress rehearsal for a day, of just going into the rooms, doing what you would do, and then at the very end you bring, live rounds in, but your vision, every room's the same regardless of what's in it. It's the same thing. You're going to do the same thing or react, in a certain way, but doing those movements and it's like dancing almost. It's like a choreographed.
Yeah.
You're visualizing exactly what's going to happen and then you just got to do it. So that the visualization's huge.
Well, you can go into the same room over and over and over again, but you've got the human element. Every person in there has the potential to screw up and be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So you're learning as much as anything else. What is the person in front of me? What is the person behind me going to, or is likely to do in this situation? And that human element is always the variable, I think, in any drill from clearing a house to shooting competition.
Yep.
Yeah. You never know.
No, you don't. So I also read that you write poetry. So we have to know.
Yeah.
When did that start?
Yeah, that was, I guess that's one of those little things that you don't talk about too much, but I'm always open, and it could be something as I used to do it as a kid, and I did it in the military as well, and just, I don't even know if sometimes it's just a journal, but it's writing down whatever comes to mind, but sometimes I'll just, if I'm struggling with something or something's on my mind, I'll put it into a little flow of poetry, and it's like therapeutic, I guess, or write a song. I can do that, and they might not be the greatest, and I've never really showed anyone, but it's something that I do that kind of helps clear the mind. That and journaling, and it kind of comes into that pause notice change thing where you kind of just close in your environment to what's happening, and sometimes writing it down helps a lot. So that's helped me throughout the years, and I still do it to this day.
Well, that's awesome.
And I'm not ashamed to admit it either.
That's awesome.
It's a form of,
it's a great
it's
creative
a form
outlet.
Of expression.
Yeah,
yes.
it is fun. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're like, yeah, I'll throw this one away. But
yeah, but it's for you.
It gets it out.
Doesn't matter whether it's good or whether it's bad. It's the process, I imagine, that helps.
Yeah, it gets whatever's, stuck in the head at that time, and then you can read it and be like, oh, well, obviously this is the issue, and how am I going to fix it? And then you can, kind of create a plan, and sometimes they're just funny to read. So
yeah, do you ever go back and read what you've written?
Yeah, especially when I was in the military, I had, girlfriends, and the struggle of being deployed and all that kind of stuff. I still have some of those, and yeah, it's like, oh boy, I was hurting back then, and so it's cool to read and look at, how far you've come and whatever, but things are the same now as they were then, and same life struggles, and they're just different but the same.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a creative outlet. And as we're confessing, mine is creating different sourdough bread recipes. There you go. I said it.
Yum.
I'd love to get some of those. That's really all I eat lately. So
sourdough bread,
really
the best. Yeah, it's funny, but it's an outlet. It really is. Oh. Go look for a new recipe, figure out how I'm going to, pull it all together. And because it's baking, it's going to be fairly exact to it. But it stops me from thinking about other things while I'm doing it, which, I imagine journaling, poetry is much the same. It's a break from the noise of everything else.
And it definitely helps. And it kind of gives you if you keep them and you can go back and kind of read, like I have a fitness journal that I use. I write in, kind of tracks what I do, but it has a part in it where you can kind of write down your day and what kind of happened, notes or whatever. So I have a bunch of different, ways of doing it, and it's cool to go back and look at them.
Especially shooting as well. I used to keep a shooting journal. I've kind of fallen off that bandwagon, but when I would have a match and I could document like how I was feeling or what was going on, you can look back and go, okay, or I can now look back at, prior steel challenge is easier to track how you've done, whereas pretty much IDPA and USPSA, you can't really, I did this way, but you can just track, where you're at in the lineup of all the people. That's about the best way you can track that in your division in class. But yeah, I used to do that with the shooting journal because how you feel, of course, it is a mental sport. So if
Yeah.
you, having a shitty day, you might not do so great.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's accounting for that, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
That
acknowledging
same
that you were
company
having a
has one.
bad day.
Yep.
It's-
And then how to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then how do you fix it?
What was that issue? Sometimes it's just a bad day, and that's
Yes.
life. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It is
life
what it
has
is.
its ups and downs. So you've got a pretty good following on social media, and I know that you've said in the past that when someone reaches out and says you've helped them, that's kind of one of your huge measures of success for the social media posts that you put out there. Can you share a story when someone reached out and said you've helped them and how that really helped hit home for you?
it was actually in person, and I was up training for work in Arkansas, and there's a National Guard gym there, and I was just working out, and a guy came up to me and goes, "Hey man, are you Gravy?" And I said, yes,
Yeah,
maybe,
suspiciously, yes, maybe. Who's asking?
maybe. And he's like, "No, I've been following you for a long time, and you kind of helped me get out of the house and into the gym." And he thanked me and shook my hand, and I thought that was really cool that, number one, he came up to me and said that. But um, anything I do, like with Team Red, White, and Blue, or any nonprofit or the social media, if you can help one person, then everything else after is just a bonus. So, I consider that one of those moments. That was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, but I'll get messages on social media, and or just comments, or see people like, "Hey, I did this workout and it was awesome, and I appreciate you putting it out there." So maybe they wouldn't have done something that day had I not. So I like that, and like I said, it's building a kind of community. So like I said, if you can just help one person, everything else is a bonus. So
Everything else is gravy.
That's
Yeah,
what I was going to say.
You just teed
Yeah.
that up. We had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
I'll
That was
take
a
it.
softball pitch. I liked it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, I guess, and whatever, but I enjoy doing it. And some of the people I've got to meet through social media and some of the companies are also doing the same thing I'm doing. With Team Red, White, and Blue, I'm an Eagle ambassador, and I work with their program of Eagle ambassadors. They're like affiliates, I guess you could call it, for Team Red, White, and Blue. But each one of those people are chosen for specific reasons, and their outreach, not necessarily because they have huge followings, but their passion for trying to help, the community, the veteran community specifically. And so it's cool to have, it's almost like an army behind you of people with the same kind of goal and mindset. And you can lean on them, they can lean on you, but knowing that they're out affecting people, whether it's one person or 100,000 people, it's an equal win to me. So, that's what I love about it is building that community.
How did you come into that? Because it blends in really with what you do already as far as your working out and where you started on that journey. So when did you come into Red, White, and Blue with your personal journey?
I'm terrible with numbers and dates. I think I've been involved with them at least 3 years,
Wow.
but I've always, I always followed them on Instagram and everything. And, I just constantly annoyed the heck out of them with posts and all that. But they're really good people, and they brought me on to start helping with the ambassador program. I think it's been 2 years now, and it aligns perfectly with what I like to do and fitness and getting veterans sort of. It's a tool for when they get out, or if they've been out for 10 years and are struggling. It gives them some kind of outlet, and it's not always fitness. A good friend is in Texas doing firearms. He's doing tactical fitness, and I really want to integrate that into Team Red, White, and Blue as well. But he's already doing it, and it's an easy transition from the military to doing that kind of stuff. And if veterans know about it, which Team Red, White, and Blue has I don't know, 100,000 Eagles or more, possibly. I think it's more than 100,000, but their reach is huge, and being able to get veterans into some kind of healthy outlet, whether it's shooting, they do fishing, they do rucking, they do everything. So it's just a huge microphone and tool to be able to reach people. And I love every bit of that company. That's why I got the eagle on. Makes me red, but it's bright. I promise you, when you look around now, if you're out in an airport or anywhere, even, throughout the world at this point, you'll see one of these shirts. Every major marathon or local run, this shirt is there, and it's cool to know you're surrounded by, again, like-minded people.
I got my dry fit shirt.
Can't beat it.
No.
I'm the odd
Let
one
me know
out
if you
here.
need one.
I must need to get one of those shirts.
I'll
Well,
get
I
you
actually
one.
joined, and I went
Thank
to one
you.
of their range days. Actually, 2 hours. I
That's
drove
right.
2 hours up north from
That's
me
the
into
one.
College Station. Is that the one that you were talking about? That's in
Yep.
Texas? Is that Timothy, right?
Yep.
Garcia? Yep.
Timothy Garcia.
They just had another one. I was like, oh man, I missed it, but I remembered why I was at a match. But I
Yeah.
keep telling them closer, and so I have Target stands and everything. And I said, hey man, just let me know. I can help out. So
Yeah, I'll put him in he's always
he
looking
knows.
for help.
He
But
knows. Yeah,
okay.
we communicated. We're friends on Facebook now too, and
Yeah.
I've joined the app for as well. So there you go.
So if you were to have an opportunity to deliver one piece of advice for people who've been listening today, and you hope that person either remembers it or acts on it, would be even better, what would you hope that one piece of advice would be?
I guess no matter how hard it is and how big the task is or the struggle is I always say, always forward. And that's the name of my company, and I'll probably get it tattooed on me somewhere at some point. But if you just continue to move forward, whether it's an inch or a mile, it's a win for that day. And tying that all into that win the day kind of deal is just keep moving forward. Like you're going forward, but it is, and keeping that mindset and just keep pushing. Don't quit when it's hard, and don't give up when it's easy. And it's a literal life change. You just got to be all in. So all in every day.
Unless you do reverse lunges and you're stepping
Yeah.
back.
If you're doing reverse lunges, make sure you do a opposite one to step forward or fall like I do.
So for those who are interested in connecting with you, what social media platform would you like them to go to?
I'd say Instagram. That's my main little hub there. So that's where it all started, and that's where I do most of the work. TikTok, all the same handle, but yeah, reach out anytime. And I'm still trying to figure out how I fit in the coaching world, but I've been through a lot and still go through it every day. And I definitely will never claim to be perfect or never struggle or any of that. But there's ways to get through whatever that struggle is, even if it doesn't seem that way. So I can help with stuff I've learned, and I can help put you in contact with somebody else who might be able to help better than me. So there's always a way.
All right. And you said you got the same handle for all of your social media. So what's that?
It's Gravy316_actual.
Okay. Nice.
A lot of people try to steal it, so I'm the actual.
You are the actual.
What's the 316 for you?
Well, that's a whole nother story.
That's a personal thing.
No. So growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan, and if he's listening, maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin was a huge. I don't know. It was a huge thing in my life growing up. I was part of the big time of wrestling, and so I was always a Stone Cold fan, and so that's where the 316. I want to say it was John 316. More so lately, John comes into play, but yeah, it was always a wrestling thing, and yeah, if he's listening, give me a follow.
Hey.
Like he can reach out.
Yeah.
You never know.
All right. Thank you so much for jumping on today and providing some insights to help our listeners to always push forward. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's free and easy way to support the show and help us bring you the guests that you want to hear from. For now, have a toppers day, and we will see all of you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.